Hi IT 100 students. This video is going to show you how to do some functions using Excel. So one function that is very versatile that you will want to get familiar with, not just for this milestone, but for a lot of work you might do with personal budgeting or your professional work, is the auto sum function. So the first thing that you need to know about any sort of formula is that you always start it with equals. So you enter a cell where you want the result to show up in. So let's say I want, if I want to do a sum, I want the sum to be here in this cell, B6. I would select B6, and then I would start off with equals. Now I happen to know, because I've used this program a lot, is that for addition, for adding up a bunch of cells, you write sum. If you have an idea of a function you want to do, a calculation you want to do, and you don't know what it's called in Excel, you can always use the help tab up here, tell me what you want to do, and type in, maybe formula for whatever it is, or you can just look it up on the internet. And you can also ask me or ask the rest of the class, and we can help you find what that function is. But for addition, it's sum. So you just type in sum, and you'll see here it's giving me a bunch of them. The basic one is sum. That's just going to add whatever cells you tell it to add. And then the rest are more specific. So you'll see sum if, sum up the cells if certain conditions are met, things like that. But we just want sum. So you don't need to select that. You can just type it yourself. So since it's called sum, that's what we start with. So equals and then sum. And then to tell it what you want to sum up, you have to start with the parentheses. So all functions will follow this basic format. The equal sign, the name of the formula or the function that you're doing, and then the parentheses is where you put in the information. So in this one, I'm going to add up these three prices. I'm not sure why I would want to add up these three prices. Let's just say I wanted to put in a basic food budget or something, and these are three things I buy every week, something like that. But for whatever reason, I want to add these up. So I can select them, hold this down, and select all three as a range, or I could, that's one way. So you'll see that the colon means everything from B2 to B4 in a straight line, so to speak. And so it's selecting all that. And I can close the parentheses, always have to close the parentheses, and then hit enter, and it will sum. Another way to sum is to separate each one by a comma. So you can type it in by hand or select it. So if I just were to type in, and you can type it up in this bar here, or you can type it in the cell, it doesn't matter. I know that I want B2, and you don't have to capitalize it. And I know that I want B3, I'll enter that one, comma, and I know that I want B4. And then I already have the closed parentheses there, so I don't have to add that again. And then I can just hit enter, and I'm going to get the same result. So those are the few of the different ways you can do it. You can select it with your cursor, or you can type in the cells that you want. And now we have our sum function. Another function that you might find useful that you might not necessarily use for your milestone, but I'd like to show you anyway, is the average function. So you'll notice that we are following the same formula, or the same kind of pattern. So we start with our equal, and then we're going to enter in the name of the function that we want to do. And in this case, it's average. So you'll see it happens to just be the word average. Sometimes it works out that way, and it's very obvious. So that's how you do an average. And then again, just like with the sum, I'm going to enter all the data points that I want to make an average of. And I'm just going to average these three things. So again, I can type them in one by one, separated by commas, or I could just select the first one and drag down to the bottom one, close it with the parentheses, and get an average. Now you'll notice a neat thing here is that Excel assumed that I wanted these to be prices. And in this case, it does make sense that they would be prices. Now, if I did a percent change, I wouldn't want them to be prices, because a percent change isn't, that would be in percent, not in dollars. So sometimes Excel might not make the right assumption. In this case, it did. So those are just some things to look out for. A lot of the times the formatting or the defaults that Excel has built in are exactly what you want, and sometimes it's not. So those are some things to keep in mind. So we've done two functions. One other function I want to show you is just a basic algebra function. So if you wanted to take a number and multiply it or add it by a specific amount, how you might go about doing that. So if I wanted to take all of these prices and I wanted to increase them by $1, I could go here in the cell. Let's say I want to do it next to each one. And I could say equal. And I want to select, again, all functions start with equal. And because we're making this up just like if we were writing a math problem on a piece of paper, we're just going to just do it straight. So if I were writing this on a piece of math paper, I would say equals whatever number I have. So in this case, it would be bread, $1.42 plus $1 or plus 1. So instead of retyping $1.42, I select the cell and then I just write plus 1 in this case. We're just going to add $1 to each one. And now I get 242. And I could add a title here. You guys know how to do that from the last video. And you know how to adjust the borders up here and all that good stuff. So we've done a simple algebraic formula. We've just added 1 to the cell. But let's say I want to quickly, for the rest of my data, add $1. Well, a neat thing about functions is that you can drag them down so it does the same function to the rest of the rows. So 2 ways to do this. Actually, 3 ways to do this. You could take this cell and you see that it's actually a function. It's showing you a number, but it's actually a function. And you could copy it and then paste it. And it will do the same function, but to the rows. So it knows that you've gone down a row, so it's gone down a row too with the function. So this one says, if you look up here, B2 plus 1, B3 plus 1, B4 plus 1. It knows. It's very smart like that. So you can copy paste. Another way to do it is you'll notice that there's this dark green square at the bottom right-hand corner. I can get it so that my cursor turns into a plus sign, and I can drag it down to where I want it to go, and I get the same result. And there's one other way to do it. This is the fastest way. I can do that same thing, this plus, and double click on it quickly. And it will go down until the data to the left side of it stops. So it won't keep going down the whole page. So those are the 3 ways that you can extend the formula so you don't have to retype it every time. So that comes in handy a lot if you want to do some sort of formulation like this. And you will have to do something similar on your paper where you are looking at increasing sales by 20%. So that would be a multiplication problem instead of an addition problem. So instead of a plus, you would have a times sign, but it's the same idea. And the times sign is I believe the little asterisk. That's what you would input for a times sign, not an X. So just like what you have on if you have a number pad on your keyboard, that's the times sign is that little asterisk star. So that's what you would use in place of the plus if you wanted to multiply to get a % increase. A couple other things since we're talking about formulas. If you were to do if you wanted to show something as a % of something else, usually that's a simple division problem if you're familiar with that. So let's say we want to see what %, let's say this is the new price. Actually, sorry about that. Let's say we put new price, we assume all prices are going to increase by $1. And, I would format this so that it all looks nice, but for now, we're just going to leave it. And let's say I wanted to say, okay, what percentage of the old price was the new price? So that's just a simple division problem. So I'd B2 divided by, so old price divided by new price. But that's just giving me a decimal. I want it as a %. So here we can go up to % and click %. So I can see that the old price was 59% as big as the new price. If you wanted to find a price increase, that formula would be a little bit different. But again, that's just the algebra side of it. This is what the function actually looks like in Excel. So this is the same thing that you would write down on paper if you were doing a math problem, a basic math problem on paper. This is just how to write it in Excel. So a division is the slash, And to make it to show it as a percent, you just click the percent button. And then one other thing, you can change the name of your sheet. If you want to add more worksheets to show different price changes, let's say this one was $1 increase, maybe you want to show different kinds of price increases or price decreases or what have you. So you could call this one current prices, and then make a new sheet just by clicking plus, and you double click right on the title there, sheet 2, to rename it. You can say price increases, name it whatever would be appropriate, but that's how you would add and name them. And if you want to take information from this tab and bring it to this tab, one of the easiest ways is just to copy, select what you want, hit Control-C to copy it, and then come here and you could do Control-V to paste it. And then once you're in here, if you want to fix your formatting, make this look all nice, extend these out so it looks nice. Maybe you would fix this up here, fix the borders. You can do all that once you're in here. But that's how you open up the tabs. And if you didn't want to copy paste, if you know that you need this data again, you can copy the entire tab as well. If you want to do some different kinds of formulas in each one, you could right-click on the tab that you would like to copy. So right-click on the name of it, and then click Move or Copy. And you decide where you want to put it. Let's just say we're going to put it at the end, and we want to create a copy of it. So make sure you create a copy. You're not just moving the tab. You click OK, and you'll see we get another tab. We'll want to change the name here. Maybe we want this to be price decreases if we wanted to show something different here, perhaps. And then we'd have another tab, and I could do a price decrease. Maybe I want to subtract by 1, although that wouldn't make a lot of sense here, but maybe I want to subtract by 20 cents, all the prices. And just like before, I can double click on this square and bring that all the way down. So this is how you can start working with tabs and with formulas to start doing some analysis with the original numbers that we put in. One other thing to note before we end this video is that some of the stuff here, just calculations, are a little bit messy. This is just to show you how to do the formulas. When you're presenting a spreadsheet like you will in your milestone, you'll want things to be arranged a little bit neater, kind of like what we have up here, but with consistent formatting in terms of bold and colors and borders. So just keep that in mind as you're doing the work. But now you know how to enter the formulas, and any formula that you're thinking about that you're not sure how to write in Excel, that's a great question for the general questions forum.